Chapter 1. Welcome to Sleepy Hollow. The first thing Eli Crane noticed about Sleepy Hollow was that the town really knew how to squeeze every last dime out of a ghost story. His rental car crept along Main Street at 25 miles per hour, and everywhere he looked, there were pumpkins. Pumpkins on porches. Pumpkins on roofs. Pumpkins dangling precariously from lamp posts like orange chandeliers that could decapitate someone if they fell at the wrong angle. Even the bank had a massive inflatable jack-o'-lantern perched on the roof, grinning like it knew the secrets of everyone's credit scores. Strung above the road was a banner that read in cheerful, bold orange letters, "Welcome to Sleepy Hollow, home of the Headless Horseman." Below that, in slightly smaller but no less enthusiastic script, "Pumpkin Festival every weekend in October." "Well," Eli muttered, his voice cracking just slightly as he spoke into the GoPro suction cupped to his dashboard. "At least they're subtle." He glanced quickly to make sure the little red light was still blinking. Yep, recording. His audience was going to eat this up. The legend of the Headless Horseman was one of the most famous ghost stories in America, and Sleepy Hollow leaned into it with the kind of energy Eli both respected and feared. "Okay, folks," he said, forcing his voice into its practiced YouTube host cadence, the one that was a little smoother than how he usually sounded in real life. "Eli Crane here from Urban Legends Unleashed. I have officially made it to Sleepy Hollow, New York, the birthplace of the creepiest decapitation story this side of the French Revolution. Population just over 10,000. Pumpkin population, infinity. I'll be spending the next week here, digging into the legend, interviewing locals, and probably humiliating myself in the process. Because let's face it, that's why you guys actually tune in." A horn blared behind him. Eli yelped, jerking the wheel to the right and narrowly avoiding the curb. His phone, which had been precariously balanced on the console recording a backup angle, went skittering onto the passenger side floor. "Sorry," he shouted out the window, though the other driver was already zooming past, shaking their fist. Sorry. Note to self. Don't vlog while driving. That's how urban legends start. Headless YouTuber decapitated by his own GoPro. Not the kind of clickbait I'm aiming for. He pulled into the first parking lot he saw, which happened to belong to a rustic-looking cafe with a carved wooden sign that read, "The Pumpkin Grind." The windows glowed with warm golden light, promising caffeine, safety, and hopefully locals who might be willing to talk about headless ghosts on camera. "All right," Eli told the GoPro, straightening his flannel like he hadn't just nearly caused a 4-car pileup. "First stop, coffee. And possibly, if I play my cards right, my first interview subject. Stay tuned." He clicked the camera off, stuffed it into his backpack, and stepped out into the crisp October air. It smelled like wood smoke, wet leaves, and pumpkin spice so strong it was almost suspicious, like maybe the town pumped it through the vents just to keep the tourists in a festive mood. Inside, the pumpkin grind was autumn in a mug. Strings of orange fairy lights crisscrossed the ceiling, casting a warm glow on the mismatched furniture. Shelves lined with locally made candles and novelty mugs boasted slogans like "Headless but caffeinated" and "Pumpkin first, questions later." The chalkboard menu above the counter listed an overwhelming array of themed drinks: pumpkin spice latte, pumpkin chai fog, pumpkin mocha avalanche, pumpkin cold brew cloud, and something terrifyingly called the Horseman's Brew with 3 skull doodles beside it. Eli slung his backpack over his shoulder, scanning the scene for a good camera angle. He discreetly set his tripod on the counter, fumbling with the legs until one clattered noisily onto the tile floor. The barista behind the counter, a young woman in a witch hat, gave him the kind of look reserved for people who talk too loudly on speakerphone in public. Hi," Eli stammered, catching the tripod before it could collapse entirely. "I'm vlogging. For YouTube. Hope that's cool? My channel's called Urban Legends Unleashed. Maybe you've heard of it? Probably not. My mom has. She's a big fan." The barista blinked once, then adjusted her witch hat. "Cool. Just don't film my bad side." Eli paused mid-fumble. "Do you have a bad side?" She smirked. "Oh." Eli gave a nervous laugh that came out more like a cough. The barista slid a menu toward him and wandered off to the espresso machine. Eli squinted at the overwhelming list of pumpkin-themed beverages. Okay, folks at home, he whispered to his camera as he discreetly turned it back on, the options here are pumpkin spice latte, pumpkin spice macchiato, pumpkin spice cold brew fog, whatever that is, or just plain coffee, which I'm guessing is code for get out of town. Before he could panic order something embarrassing, a woman stepped up beside him. She was tall, with auburn hair pulled into a messy bun and a scarf that looked like it had been stolen from the world's most fashionable scarecrow. Her smile was easy, warm, and just amused enough to suggest she was already in on some joke he didn't know about. "Hey, Katrina," the barista greeted, clearly familiar with her. The woman turned her attention to Eli, who immediately regretted not fixing his hair in the rearview mirror. "You must be the YouTuber," she said. "Word travels fast in Sleepy Hollow." "Oh," Eli stammered, nearly dropping the menu. "Wow. Yeah, Eli Crane. That's me. Not the crane. I mean, technically a crane, but not related to, you know." Quote. Katrina tilted her head knowingly. "Ichabod? Yes. Exactly. Except no relation. I mean, maybe? I never did 23andMe. But probably not. Anyway, hi." He stuck out his hand, realized it was shaking, and quickly shoved it into his pocket instead. "Smooth. I'm Katrina Van Tassel," she said, offering her hand anyway. Her grip was firm, her smile confident. "I run the Sleepy Hollow Historical Society. If you're here for the Horseman, I'm probably your best resource." Eli blinked. "Wait, you're a Van Tassel? Like, from the legend?" She nodded with the patience of someone who'd had this exact conversation 100 times. "Descended from Baltus and Katrina Van Tassel. Yes, the same family from the legend. And no, we don't have cursed pumpkins hidden in the basement. At least, not that I've found." Eli let out a nervous laugh. "Okay, that's either the coolest or creepiest family inheritance ever." "Bit of both," she said with a smirk. Before Eli could think of something clever to say, the cafe door swung open with a bang. A man strode inside, broad-shouldered and confident in a way that immediately made Eli feel like a human paperclip. He wore a leather jacket, had a jawline you could probably cut diamonds on, and grinned like he was already in on every joke ever told. "Cat," he called, spotting Katrina instantly. He clapped her on the back with the familiarity of someone who'd done it 100 times. Then his gaze landed on Eli, and the grin turned into something a little sharper. "And who's this?" he asked. "Tourist? I'm not a tourist," Eli said quickly. "I'm a YouTuber." The man's grin widened. "So, a tourist with a camera." "Eli," Katrina said, exasperated, "this is Brody Stone. But everyone calls him Brom." Eli's stomach sank. "Like Brom Bones? Like another person from the legend?" Brody/Brom flashed a grin that was 90% teeth. "Exactly like Brom Bones." He clapped Eli on the shoulder hard enough to nearly knock him off balance. "So, Crane, huh? And you're here chasing my horseman?" Not your horseman," Eli muttered. "Buddy," Brom said, still grinning, "around here, everything's mine." Katrina rolled her eyes. Don't start. Chapter 2. Legends and Latte Foam. Eli had always pictured himself as a serious documentarian. The kind who wore black turtlenecks and said things like, "The camera is an extension of the soul." Instead, here he was, perched on a squeaky cafe chair in a pumpkin-scented haze, sipping a latte that had a foam ghost drawn on top, while his brand-new microphone refused to work. "Okay," he muttered, fiddling with the jack. "Why are you betraying me, buddy? I thought we had an understanding. You capture spooky sounds, I give you a good home. This isn't a complicated relationship." Across the table, Katrina Van Tassel looked far too entertained by his struggle. She leaned on her elbow, a smile tugging at the corner of her mouth. "You know, most people come here for the coffee. Not for a tech meltdown." Eli grinned sheepishly. "Yeah, well, most people also don't have 12 subscribers who keep demanding better audio quality. One of them is my mom, and she takes this very seriously." "Sounds like my kind of woman," Katrina said. "Does she knit microphones too?" "No, but she does mail me protein bars and bug spray whenever I travel. She thinks I'm either going to starve or get eaten alive." Katrina laughed softly. Eli filed the sound away in his brain under some of his favorite sounds. At last, the microphone gave a tiny click that sounded promising. He did a quick test, then angled the lens toward Katrina. "Okay," he said, clearing his throat and trying to sound like someone who absolutely had their life together. Take 1. The official local history perspective. Katrina Van Tassel, thank you for agreeing to this interview. Katrina tilted her head, the smile not leaving her face. You say that like you had to twist my arm. The Historical Society lives for this kind of attention. We just don't usually get YouTubers. Hey, we're a growing field, Eli said, mocked being offended. We're basically historians with better lighting. She chuckled. All right, what do you want to know? Eli leaned forward, eyes bright. Everything. The legend, the history, the weird town gossip. And if you could condense that into a solid 5-minute clip that'll get me trending, that'd be great. Katrina shook her head, amused, and began. The story most people know comes from Washington Irving's tale, she said, her voice slipping into that natural storyteller rhythm that immediately hooked him. A soldier who lost his head to a cannonball during the Revolutionary War. They buried him in the old Dutch churchyard, but his ghost couldn't rest without his head. Every night he rides, searching for it, carrying a jack-o'-lantern in its place. Anyone who crosses him risks losing their head too. Eli nodded, scribbling in his notebook despite the camera running. Classic ghost story vibes. I like it, but, Katrina continued, lowering her voice conspiratorially, the locals say it isn't just a story. Sightings have been reported since the early 1800s. Riders without heads on foggy nights. Horses' hooves pounding through the woods. People who vanished after claiming they'd seen him. Eli raised an eyebrow. Vanished as in ran away? Or vanished as in poof, never seen again? Katrina gave him a look. What do you think? Eli grinned nervously. I think my comment section is going to have a field day with this. He took a sip of his latte, only to inhale the foam ghost straight into his nose. He sputtered, coughing and waving his hands. Are you okay? Katrina asked, laughing despite her concern. Fine. Totally fine, Eli croaked, dabbing at his face with a napkin. Just got possessed by a latte ghost. Happens all the time. Before Katrina could reply, a shadow loomed over the table. Bram Stone stood there, arms crossed, looking entirely too pleased with himself. So, he drawled, we're telling ghost stories to the tourist now? YouTuber, Eli corrected weakly, still dripping latte foam. Right, Bram said. Tourist with a camera. Katrina groaned. Brody, don't start. I'm not starting, Bram said innocently, though his grin told a different story. He leaned closer to Eli. You want a real story, Crane? Try walking down the old bridge at midnight. See if you're still laughing when you hear hoofbeats behind you. Eli blinked. That sounds oddly specific. Bram straightened, smirk widening. Just a suggestion. Unless you'd rather stay here where it's safe. I'm perfectly capable of walking across a bridge, Eli muttered. Sure you are, Bram said. As long as your camera doesn't trip you first. With a wink at Katrina, he sauntered off toward the counter. Eli slumped back in his chair, groaning. Please tell me he's not always like that. Katrina sipped her coffee, eyes sparkling. Oh no, sometimes he's worse. After their coffee, Katrina offered to give Eli a quick tour of the town. They walked through the crisp autumn air, passing shops with names like the Headless Bookstore and Horseman's Hollow Antiques. Every block seemed to boast at least one pumpkin display. Is it always this festive? Eli asked, adjusting the camera on his shoulder. October's our busiest season, Katrina explained. Tourists come for the legend. We give them pumpkins, hayrides, and just enough creepiness to make it memorable. As they passed the old churchyard, Eli paused, staring at the crooked gravestones half swallowed by fog. The place felt older than time itself, the kind of setting that made your skin prickle even if you didn't believe in ghosts. Okay, he whispered into his mic. Cemetery vibes. Spooky level 8 out of 10. Gravestones crooked, mist rolling in. If a headless guy doesn't show up here, I'll be personally offended. Katrina glanced at him. You talk to yourself a lot? Only when I'm recording, Eli said quickly. And sometimes when I'm not. She laughed, shaking her head. They lingered a moment by the bridge, its wooden beams creaking in the wind. Eli set the camera down for a wide shot. The river below gurgled faintly, the sound swallowed by rustling leaves. That's when it happened, a faint, distant sound. Like a horse's hooves. Eli froze. Did you hear that? Katrina frowned. Hear what? He held up a hand. There it was again. Thud, thud, thud. Faint but steady, echoing as if from far away. Eli's breath caught. He swung his camera toward the sound, but the lens only captured trees and fog. Then, silence. The leaves whispered, the river burbled, and the sound was gone. Katrina studied him. Probably just the wind. Yeah, Eli said, forcing a shaky laugh. Wind that sounds like horse hooves. Totally normal. But he didn't believe it. Not for a second. Chapter 3. The live stream at midnight. The thing about live streams, Eli had learned, was that they always went wrong in the most humiliating ways possible. Your internet drops just as you're building suspense. Your camera falls over during the serious speech. Or, if you're really lucky, your cat knocks over a lamp mid-jump scare and suddenly your viewers think you're summoning demons through bad wiring. So naturally, when he told his audience he was going live from Sleepy Hollow at midnight, they flooded his chat with equal parts encouragement and mockery. Chat comments at 11:54 p.m. read, Ghost Freak 92, you gonna die bro lol. Pumpkin Queen, Eli I told you not to do bridges at midnight. Cryptid King, can we get a poll for, Horseman eats Eli first night, yes or no? Mom's username, don't forget your protein bar sweetie. Heart emoji. Okay, guys, Eli whispered into the camera as he set up on the edge of the old bridge, we are officially live in the spookiest spot in all of Sleepy Hollow. Midnight challenge. No jump cuts, no editing. Just raw fear and probably me tripping on wet leaves. He panned the camera around to show the fog-drenched river and the arching wooden beams. His breath misted white in the cold air. The only other light came from the faint lantern glow of Sleepy Hollow's streets, just barely visible through the trees. Historical fun fact, Eli continued. This is the exact bridge where Ichabod Crane, you know, the original Crane, I mean, not me, obviously, I'm still fully intact, was supposedly chased by the Headless Horseman. And we're here to see if a twig cracked somewhere in the woods. Eli froze. Slowly, he swung the camera toward the sound. Nothing. Just blackness and fog. Okay, he whispered, quick reminder that every horror movie ever starts this way. I am very much aware this is how dumb guys die. The chat blew up with laughing emojis. Cryptid King, famous last words Pumpkin v Queen left a bunch of laughing ghost emojis mom's username, careful honey. Eli steadied his breathing and pressed on. He started telling the legend again, letting his voice drop low and dramatic. They say if you're on this bridge at midnight, you might hear him. The sound of hooves, the rattle of chains, and if you're unlucky enough, you'll see him coming straight for you, headless, carrying his pumpkin lantern, looking for a fresh head to claim. He paused, waiting, listening. His heart thudded in his chest, loud enough he was sure the mic picked it up. Then, thud. Chapter 4. The Evidence. Sleepy Hollow did not have a Starbucks, a Walmart, or even reliable Uber service. But what it did have was the Hollowed Bean, another cafe in town so aggressively quaint that Eli was convinced Hallmark had staged it as a movie set. That's where he, Kat, and Brom gathered the next morning to review what Eli kept calling the most insane stream of my career, and Brom kept calling a very elaborate TikTok prank. Eli set up his laptop on their small table, the battery running on fumes. His camera bags and mic wires were scattered everywhere, making the place look less like a cafe and more like mission control. All right, Eli announced, trying to sound confident even though his hands were still shaking. Exhibit A, me nearly wetting myself live on camera. He hit play. The familiar shaky footage of the bridge filled the screen, fog curling, the sound of twigs snapping. Eli cringed hearing his own panicked narration. Oh my God, he muttered, burying his face in his hands. Do I really sound like that? Like a Muppet with bronchitis? Yes, Brom said without hesitation. Exactly like that. Hush. Kat leaned in closer, eyes fixed on the screen. The sound of hoofbeats echoed again, faint but unmistakable. Then came the moment, frame by grainy frame, where the dark horse emerged from the fog. There! Kat jabbed her finger at the screen. Eli froze the frame. The pixels showed the outline of a huge black horse. On its back, the rider cloaked in shadow. And in his arm, the flaming jack-o'-lantern, its grin sharp and unnatural. Boom, Eli said, pointing. I rest my case. Paranormal gold. Give me my Ghost Hunter Emmy, please. Brom snorted. Or, a guy in a horse costume with a glowstick. Eli shot him a look. Brom, that is either the most committed cosplayer in history, or... He waved at the screen. The literal Headless Horseman. Kat leaned back, her expression unreadable. It's convincing. Eli perked up. See? Thank you. Katrina Van Tassel, local authority, officially says my footage is. But it's also terrifying, she finished, cutting him off. They sat in silence for a moment, letting that hang in the air. The laughter in the cafe, the hiss of the espresso machine, the normal sounds of morning. It all felt like it was happening on another planet compared to what they'd seen. Finally, Brom broke the silence. Listen, Crane. Eli corrected. Whatever. People in this town have been seeing weird things for generations. You know what usually happens to outsiders who poke too hard. Eli tilted his head. They get guest passes to the Historical Society? No, Brom said flatly. They leave. Or they don't. Eli swallowed. Cool. Super chill warning. Definitely not creepy at all. Kat glared at Brom. Don't listen to him. The stories are old, but... She hesitated. What you caught, if it's real, it means the legend isn't just legend anymore. Great, Eli muttered. I'm about to be the guy who gets cancelled by a ghost. He closed the laptop, exhaling hard. Okay. Step 1. I stay alive. Step 2. I keep making content, preferably in that order. Kat leaned closer. Step 3 should be figuring out why the horseman's here again. Brom scoffed. You make it sound like it's a who, not a what. Maybe it is, Kat said quietly. That shut them both up. Eli drummed his fingers on the table, then opened the chat replay on his phone. Messages scrolled endlessly, people debating whether it was real, clipping the footage, making memes of his scream. One username caught his eye. Mom's username. The last message she'd left was still there. Don't forget your protein bar, honey. For the first time since the bridge, Eli laughed. A quick, nervous bark of relief. Okay, he said, if I'm going to die by ghost horse, at least I'm doing it with proper nutrition. Chapter 5. Deeper into the Hollow. The woods of Sleepy Hollow had that particular brand of darkness Eli associated with horror movies. Not just the absence of light, but the sense that the trees themselves had a contract with the shadows. Eli adjusted the GoPro strapped to his chest. Alright chat, he whispered into the mic clipped to his hoodie. Night 2 of Spooky Hollow. Kat and I are heading straight into the legendary woods. The ones where people vanish, local teens dare each other to make TikToks, and where I will definitely not be eaten alive by moths. Or ghosts. Or ghost moths. Which might be worse? Kat, walking beside him with a lantern-style flashlight, rolled her eyes. Do you ever not narrate? Nope, Eli said cheerfully. My personality is 60% exposition, 30% nervous rambling, and 10% protein bars. She smirked but didn't answer, her beam sweeping across twisted branches. The path was uneven, carpeted with leaves that whispered underfoot. Somewhere in the distance, an owl hooted like it had a personal vendetta. Eli whispered, this is cozy. Definitely not terrifying. If I were a headless ghost, this is exactly where I'd hang out. 0 stars. Would haunt again. Hush, Kat said, holding up a hand. Eli froze. The woods went very still, as if the trees had sucked in a collective breath. Then, clop. Faint, but there. A single hoofbeat. Eli's eyes widened. Okay, either a horse or one giant, super disappointed coconut. Come on, Kat said, pulling him toward the sound. Her grip was surprisingly firm. They crept forward until the path opened onto a small clearing. The moonlight spilled silver over a crumbled stone wall. At its base sat something that made Eli's stomach do a full backflip. A half-buried jack-o'-lantern. Its grin carved wide, its eyes slanted, the inside scorched black as if it had once been aflame. Cat crouched beside it. This wasn't here last week. Eli aimed his camera. Totally normal. Just a casually abandoned demonic pumpkin. Love that. 10 out of 10 ambiance. The chat on his phone was exploding. Ghost Fan 92. Bro run. Skeptic girl. Probably a prank. Mom's username. Wear your scarf, honey. Eli whispered, not helpful, Mom. Cat's fingers brushed the edge of the pumpkin. She flinched. It's warm. Excuse me? Eli's voice cracked. Warm? As in body temperature pumpkin? Before Cat could answer, the sound came again. Clop, clop. Closer now. The rhythm unmistakable, steady, like something pacing the tree line just beyond the circle of moonlight. Eli's camera tilted wildly as he swung toward the noise. His breath came fast. The shadows between the trees seemed to bend. And then, just at the edge of sight, a massive black shape shifted. The horse. Towering, sleek, its breath misting in the cold air. And above it, the rider. Cloaked, silent, shoulders impossibly broad. Where the head should have been, nothing. Nothing but a faint, ember-orange glow where a face might have hovered. Cat sucked in a breath. Eli whispered, okay, this is fine. Just your standard. The rider raised an arm. In its hand, a jack-o'-lantern ignited in sudden flame, blazing so bright Eli's camera flared white. The horse screamed, a horrible, guttural sound that wasn't quite animal. Run! Cat shouted. Eli didn't need telling twice. He bolted, crashing through underbrush, camera bouncing wildly. Cat was right behind him, their flashlights jerking, the sound of hooves pounding after them. Too fast, too close. Branches clawed at Eli's hoodie. His lungs burned. Somewhere behind them, the horse's fiery glow lit the woods like a nightmare lantern. They stumbled back onto the path, half running, half falling, until suddenly, the sound stopped. Silence. Eli skidded to a halt, chest heaving. Cat staggered beside him, lantern trembling in her grip. The woods were still again. Too still. Eli panted, so, that was, not a prank? Cat shook her head. No, that was him. The camera on Eli's chest was still recording, the red light blinking. For a long moment, they just stared at each other. The only sound was the harsh rasp of their breathing. Then, faintly from the phone in Eli's pocket, the livestream chat scrolled. Mom's username. Don't forget to stretch after running, honey. Eli laughed once, high and shaky. Yup, I'm doomed, but at least I'm flexible. Chapter 6. The town reacts. Morning sunlight spilled through the blinds of Eli's Airbnb, which, at the moment, looked less like cozy colonial rental, and more like crime scene of a sleep-deprived raccoon. Energy drink cans littered the table. His camera gear was still sprawled out where he'd dumped it at 3 a.m. The memory cards were loaded with footage he'd been too scared to watch last night. Eli sat hunched over his laptop, hair sticking up in a dozen frantic directions. The screen glowed with his editing software. Cat stood behind him, sipping coffee from a mug shaped like a jack-o'-lantern. On screen, the night vision replayed the chase. The clearing, the pumpkin, the rider, the flaming head. Eli squeaked when he saw it again, even though it was his own footage. Yup. Nope. Hate it. 0 stars. Can we return this ghost? Cat smirked into her coffee. You're uploading this, right? Eli groaned. I was hoping you'd say, let's bury it in a shallow digital grave and pretend we spent last night playing Uno. Eli. Cat leaned down, her face level with his. This is the story. People around here whisper about him, but no one's ever gotten this kind of proof. If you don't post it, someone else will. He rubbed his face. You're right. I hate when you're right. He hit upload. By noon, Eli's channel was on fire. The video titled, Real Headless Horseman? Sleepy Hollow Investigation, had racked up tens of thousands of views in hours. The comments section was a warzone. Cryptid King 23. Fake. CGI so bad my grandma could do it. Pumpkin Spice Girl 97. Why is nobody talking about how fast that horse was? Urban legend lover. This is the best footage since Mothman 2008. Mom's username. You're not eating enough vegetables. Eli read aloud, you're not eating enough vegetables. Mom, if you're going to publicly shame me, at least do it on Facebook like the other moms. Kat snorted, but the internet wasn't the only one reacting. When Eli and Kat walked into the Sleepy Hollow Cafe later that afternoon, the place buzzed like a hive. Locals were huddled around phones and tablets, re-watching the video. Heads turned as the door jingled. There he is. That's the guy who saw it. Or faked it. Eli forced a smile and waved like a celebrity who wasn't sure if he was beloved or about to be pelted with muffins. Behind the counter, Brom leaned on the espresso machine, grinning like a cat who knew exactly which canary feathers were stuck in his teeth. Well, if it isn't Spielberg and his sidekick. Kat stiffened. We didn't fake it, Brom. Brom chuckled. Please. That flaming pumpkin trick? Classic. Nice editing, though. Didn't think you had the skills, Eli. Eli blinked. Editing? Brom, do you think I can afford CGI that good? My last video sponsor was a sock company. Laughter rippled through the cafe. Some people nodded in agreement with Brom. Others looked uneasy, eyes darting toward the windows as if expecting the horseman to peek in. An elderly man shuffled forward from the back corner. His face was creased, his cane tapping against the floor. His voice was low, carrying over the chatter like the rumble of distant thunder. It wasn't fake. The cafe went quiet, the old man's eyes fixed on Eli and Kat. What you saw last night wasn't a prank, or some computer trick. That was him, the soldier. He rides when the veil grows thin, when the town forgets to fear him. Eli swallowed. Hi. Love your whole cryptic vibe, sir. Do you have a name? The old man's lips curled into something that wasn't quite a smile. Call me Gideon. Everyone does. Kat tilted her head. And how exactly do you know it was real? Gideon's gaze was steady. Because I've seen him too. 50 years ago, on a night just like yours. And let me tell you, kids, once he marks you, he doesn't stop. The words hung in the air like smoke. Eli's phone buzzed in his pocket. A new notification from the video. He glanced at the screen and froze. Someone had posted a screenshot in the comments. A still frame from his footage. The horseman, yes. But behind him, just barely visible in the flames, two glowing orange eyes in the treeline. Watching. Waiting. Eli's voice wobbled. Cool. Awesome. Love that for us. Kat leaned over his shoulder and whispered, Eli, what else is out there? Chapter 7. The Deepening Mystery. The afternoon sun in Sleepy Hollow always seemed dimmer than it should have been, like it was filtering through something thicker than air. Clouds? Mist? Or maybe just the heavy weight of too many ghost stories stacked on top of one another. Eli followed Gideon out of the cafe. The old man walked slowly, cane tapping on the cobblestones, but somehow he had everyone's attention the way a campfire storyteller does when the wind dies down. Kat leaned closer to Eli, whispering, we want to follow the guy who looks like he's been auditioning for Crypt Keeper, the musical. Eli whispered back, Kat. He's our only lead. Also, that cane looks like it could double as a stake. If he wants to tell us the lore, we're listening. They trailed Gideon to the edge of town, toward a squat brick building with tall windows. The old public library. A carved wooden sign over the door read Archives. Inside, the air smelled of dust and forgotten paper. The place was dim, lit by green-shaded lamps and one stubborn fluorescent bulb that hummed like it had secrets. Gideon led them to a table and eased himself into a chair. He opened a leather satchel and pulled out something that looked like it belonged in an Indiana Jones movie. A thick ledger bound with cracked leather. This, Gideon said, patting the book, is the town's oldest record. Journals, court documents, family histories. The Headless Horseman isn't just a ghost story. He's part of Sleepy Hollow's blood. Eli leaned in. Okay, but like, fun Halloween blood? Or, cannonball blood, Gideon interrupted. Kat frowned. Cannonball? Gideon nodded. His voice dropped low, conspiratorial. He was a soldier. Fought for the British during the Revolution. Lost his head to a cannonball not far from here. Buried without it. Ever since, he searches for a new one. Eli shuddered. Yup. Classic ghost problem. Missing head, needs a new one, applies to local YouTubers. Totally normal. But Gideon wasn't smiling. He turned the ledger so they could see. Faded ink, careful handwriting. Names, dates, descriptions of strange sightings. Cat read aloud. October 13, 1825. Rider seen near the old bridge. Pursued Ichabod Crane. Man disappeared. Hat and pumpkin found. Eli whispered, the original story. Gideon's finger trailed down further. And he's ridden ever since. Some years quiet, others not so much. Then Gideon flipped to the back of the book. The pages here were different, and newer, handwritten in a shaky scrawl. They weren't town records. They were Gideon's personal notes. One entry made Eli's stomach twist. 1974. Saw him again. Rider not alone this time. Something in the trees. Eyes glowing like embers. Didn't follow. Thank God. Cat looked at Eli. Eyes in the trees. Like your footage. Eli closed the ledger a little too fast. Cool. Yup. Awesome bedtime reading. We'll just, file this under nope. But Gideon grabbed his wrist. His grip was surprisingly strong. Listen, once you see him, you're marked. He doesn't stop until he takes what he's after. But the rider, he may not be the worst of it. Cat's brow furrowed. What do you mean? Gideon released Eli and leaned back, suddenly weary. The soldier rides where the ground remembers war. But something else woke with him. Something older. Those eyes, that's no soldier. Eli swallowed hard. His brain screamed leave now, book a flight, move to Arizona. Instead he squeaked out, hypothetically, what does one do if one is marked? Like, is there a gift registry? A curse exchange program? Gideon didn't laugh. You run, or you fight, but you can't ignore him. Not anymore. At that moment, Eli's phone buzzed. He glanced down and nearly dropped it. The notification wasn't from YouTube. It was a live stream alert from his own channel. Live now. The Horseman returns. Eli froze. I didn't start a stream. Cat grabbed the phone. The screen showed shaky, distorted footage of the woods. Trees bending in the wind. Darkness pressing in. Then hoofbeats. Closer. Closer. The camera angle tilted down to reveal Eli's own sneakers. Cat's voice went sharp. Eli, this is happening right now. Hoofbeats thundered in the background of the livestream. Then, from off-screen, a flaming pumpkin, rolling into frame. And the stream cut to black. The library was dead silent. Eli whispered, okay, quick poll. How screwed are we? Cat whispered back, on a scale of 1 to 10? Flaming pumpkin. Gideon's eyes narrowed. He's not just haunting the woods anymore. He's watching you. Chapter 8. The Second Encounter. Sleepy Hollow looked different after sunset. The streets emptied early, houses shuttered tight, the whole town wrapped in a hush like it was holding its breath. Eli had his camera strapped to his chest, more out of reflex than bravery. This is insane, Cat whispered as they walked. That livestream wasn't just a prank. Somebody, or something, was broadcasting through your channel. That's, like, cyber ghost levels of creepy. Eli tried to keep his voice casual. Yeah, cool, love that my channel has finally been hacked by a freaking ghost. He forced a laugh. Bet the algorithm loves this. They stopped at the trailhead Gideon had marked on their map. The woods stretched out, black and endless. No crickets. No owls. Just silence. Cat pulled her hoodie tighter. You realize this is horror movie 101. The idiot YouTubers walk into the murder forest at night. Eli flicked on his flashlight. Correction, one idiot YouTuber, plus his way too good for him research partner. Big difference. The path wound deeper into the trees. Every step crunched too loud underfoot. Eli's camera light flickered once, just once, but enough to set his heart racing. Then they heard it. Hoofbeats. Faint at first, then louder, steady, rhythmic. Cat grabbed Eli's arm. Tell me that's just, like, a horse trail ride or something. In the middle of the night? Eli hissed. The hoofbeats drew closer. Eli killed his flashlight. They crouched low behind a tangle of brush, trying not to breathe. Through the trees, a pale glow appeared. not moonlight, firelight, and then he rode into view. The Headless Horseman, broad-shouldered, dressed in tattered Revolutionary War uniform, black cape trailing like smoke. His horse's hooves struck sparks against the stones, eyes burning red. In his hand, clutched where a head should have been, he held a flaming jack-o'-lantern. Eli's heart hammered. This is it. This is the footage. Viral gold. Oh God, we're going to die. He raised his camera with trembling hands. The lens caught the horseman full on. The rider stopped, turned, and though he had no eyes, no face, Eli felt it. The weight of his gaze, locking on him through the trees. The pumpkin grinned wider. Cat whispered, "He sees us." The horseman snapped the reins. The black stallion lunged forward, straight toward them. "Run!" Eli shrieked. They tore down the path, branches whipping their faces, hoofbeats pounding behind. Cat yanked Eli toward a fallen log and they dove over it just as the horseman's mount reared back, flames spitting from its nostrils. The rider hurled the pumpkin. It exploded against a tree inches from Eli's head, showering him with embers and the sickly sweet smell of burning pumpkin flesh. Cat grabbed his hand and pulled. "Keep moving." They scrambled through the underbrush, tripping, gasping. Hooves thundered closer, closer, until suddenly, silence. The forest swallowed the sound. They stopped, chest heaving, ears straining. Nothing. No hoofbeats. No glow. Just darkness. Cat bent double, panting. "Okay. Official update. I hate cardio. Also ghosts." Eli clutched his camera to his chest. "We got him on film, Cat. This is it. Proof. Not just shadows or pumpkins. Him." He flicked the playback open. His hands were still shaking. The screen showed static, distorted noise. Then, an image of Eli's own terrified face, staring straight into the camera. Cat frowned. "Wait, you never pointed it at yourself." Eli's breath caught. The recording continued. His face on the screen smiled. But not his smile. Too wide, too sharp. The static cut back in, and the file deleted itself. Eli's camera went dead. The forest, once silent, suddenly echoed with a single sound. Hoofbeats. Distant. Fading. Like laughter. Chapter 9. Escalation. Eli's cabin looked like a conspiracy bunker. Strings of LED lights glowed weakly, half his equipment lay gutted on the floor, and his laptop fan whined like it was begging for mercy. Cat sat cross-legged on the couch, still jittery from their midnight sprint. "So, recap. We just got chased by a flaming pumpkin jockey with no head, your camera recorded a funhouse mirror version of you, and then deleted it, which means, what? That the horseman has a YouTube channel now?" Eli rubbed his temples. "Don't joke. I wouldn't put it past him to have more subs than me." Kat's expression softened, though her voice shook. "Eli, that wasn't just spooky tourist fodder. That was real. Whatever this thing is, it saw us." Eli glanced at his camera, sitting dark and silent on the desk. His most prized piece of gear, now a brick. He felt stripped bare without it. Before he could answer, a sharp knock rattled the door. They froze. "Do not open that," Cat hissed. Eli tiptoed over and peeked through the peephole. He sagged with relief. "It's Gideon." The historian shuffled in, carrying an armful of books that looked like they belonged in an Indiana Jones vault. "I heard," he said grimly, before they even asked how he knew. He dropped the stack onto Eli's table. Thud. Dust poofed up like smoke. Cat raised an eyebrow. "You heard? What, do you have ghost Twitter alerts or something?" "Close enough," Gideon muttered, flipping open a brittle cover. "Word travels fast when the horseman rides. You're not the first to see him, though the fact that you're still alive is unusual." "Comforting," Eli deadpanned. Gideon ignored him. He turned the book so they could see a sketch of a headless rider, woodcut lines sharp and ugly. Underneath read, "The soldier without rest." He tapped the page. "He doesn't hunt at random. He chooses." Cat leaned forward. "Chooses who?" Gideon's gaze lingered on Eli. "The marked." Eli laughed nervously. "Cool. Love that. Can I unsubscribe?" But Gideon's expression stayed grave. "The horseman latches onto those who poke at his story. Skeptics. Meddlers. Those who try to twist his legend for their own gain." Cat and Eli exchanged a look. Eli raised a weak hand. Okay, for the record, I am not twisting anything. I'm just documenting, for educational purposes, and maybe ad revenue, but, like, mostly education. Kat elbowed him. Eli, you're literally making clickbait thumbnails with flaming emojis. Eli groaned. This is how I die. Death by SEO. Gideon flipped to another page, revealing handwritten accounts from the 1800s. The horseman doesn't just kill. He erases. Records of sightings often vanish, burned, corrupted, lost. Survivors are left with nothing but memory. And you say your camera deleted the file, Eli whispered. Exactly. Gideon's eyes gleamed. He's not just chasing you. He's rewriting the story. Kat shivered. Like controlling the narrative. Precisely. Eli sat down hard, running a hand through his hair. Great. The ghost is basically my editor now. Kat frowned. But why you, specifically? Plenty of people make Sleepy Hollow videos. Why single you out? Gideon hesitated. Then he pulled a yellowed envelope from the book stack. Because your name isn't new to him. Eli blinked. Excuse me? Gideon slid the envelope across the table. Inside lay a letter, ink faded, dated 1799. The signature at the bottom read, Elijah Crane. Kat's jaw dropped. Wait, Crane, as in Ichabod Crane? Eli's stomach turned to ice. Nope, absolutely not. My family's from, like, Jersey. Maybe, I think. I never met my great-grandpa, for all I know, he sold insurance. Gideon shook his head. Names carry weight. Bloodlines carry curses. If you are descended from Crane. Eli shoved the letter back like it was burning. Nope, not listening. I do not have cursed colonial DNA. Kat smirked faintly, despite the tension. Explains the nose, though. Wow, thanks, Eli muttered. Gideon's voice dropped. The horseman hunts those tied to the original story. And now, you've put yourself in his path. You are not just documenting the legend, Mr. Crane. His eyes locked on Eli's. You are the legend. The room went silent. Even the laptop fan cut off, leaving only the thrum of their own heartbeats. Then, ding. Eli's phone lit up with a new notification. YouTube Studio. New livestream scheduled. Midnight Ride. Kat read it aloud, voice tight. But, Eli, you didn't schedule that. The thumbnail made Eli's stomach drop. It was him, smiling, headless. Chapter 10. The Midnight Ride. The countdown ticked across Eli's phone screen. Live in 2 minutes, 37 seconds. Kat leaned over his shoulder. Tell me you didn't just sleepwalk and schedule that. Eli shook his head, white-knuckling the phone. Kat, I was busy panic puking into a paper bag when that went up. I didn't touch it. The thumbnail stared back at them. Eli's face, but wrong. Smoothed, sharpened, uncanny. His grin stretched too wide, his eyes glowed faintly orange. And above his collar, nothing. Just empty space where his head should be. Okay, Kat said, pacing the room like she was trying to wear a hole through the carpet. This is officially, like, 10 steps past spooky and 2 steps into the ring. Eli glanced at Gideon, who sat calmly amidst the book stacks like this was all just a quiet Tuesday. A cursed livestream? That's a thing? Oh yes, Gideon said, without missing a beat. The horseman adapts. He's a soldier without a head but not without cunning. Where stories once spread by whispers, now they spread by streams. Kat stopped pacing. You're saying he's using YouTube? Gideon shrugged. If you wanted to terrify the masses in the 21st century, wouldn't you? Honestly? Eli muttered. Twitter would have been faster. The countdown hit 10 seconds. Eli scrambled for his laptop, slamming keys. If I delete the channel. Won't work, Gideon said. Change the password. Nope. Report myself for violating community guidelines. Kat squinted. Technically this is impersonation. The counter hit 1 second. The screen went black. Then the stream began. It wasn't Eli's cabin on the screen, it was the woods. The dark stretch of Sleepy Hollow's forest, bathed in unnatural moonlight. Mist swirled low across the ground. The camera panned shakily, like someone was holding it on horseback. Then, clip, clop, the sound of hooves. Slow, measured, a shadow appeared, the horseman, towering in the saddle. No head, just smoke rising from ragged armor. He held something in his hand. A phone. Streaming. Eli's chest went cold. "They's me phone. That's literally my phone." On the stream's overlay, live chat messages began to pour in. User 666. Fake but cool edit LOL. Pumpkin Spice 98. OMG, this AI goes hard. Mom's username. Honey WTF, are you watching? Grim Talk fan. Wait, is this real? The horseman raised his other hand and in it, a flaming jack-o'-lantern. The chat exploded with emojis. Pumpkins, flames, skulls. Cat clutched Eli's arm. Eli, they think it's content. Eli's stomach sank. And he's farming engagement. The horseman spurred his horse forward, the livestream camera jolting with each hoofbeat. The screen glitched, flashing briefly to Eli's cabin before flickering back to the woods. Oh hell no. Eli jumped up. He's coming here. They bolted into the night, racing through the sleepy streets. Kat clutched her backpack like it was life support. Eli carried his dead camera like a useless brick. Gideon trailed behind, muttering old German prayers that made the air seem heavier. As they ran, Eli's phone buzzed with notifications. 10K watching now, 25K watching now, 50K watching now. Kat shouted over her shoulder, "He's going viral." "Yeah, great," Eli wheezed. "I've always wanted my funeral live-streamed." They reached the edge of the woods. The livestream's camera angle shifted, now showing the same path they stood on. The horseman was near, too near. Kat pulled out her flashlight, hands trembling. "Okay, what's the plan? Run? Hide? Scream and hope the algorithm bans him?" Gideon knelt in the dirt, sketching a circle with chalk. "You face him. Tonight, the ride ends where it began. If the legend is reborn, then so must the counterstory." Eli gawked. "Counterstory? Gideon, I'm a vlogger, not a wizard." "You are a crane," Gideon said firmly. "And cranes don't just run, they endure." A chill gust swept the path. The livestream glitched, and then the real forest filled with the sound of galloping hooves. The Headless Horseman burst into view, fire blazing from the jack-o'-lantern in his grip. The livestream camera swung, showing Eli's terrified face in real time, side by side with the chat exploding. User 666. Oh crap, they're actually there. Pumpkin Spice 98. Is this real? Grim Talk fan. Drop merch link. The horseman slowed his horse, towering over them, phone held steady as though he'd been streaming his hunts for centuries. Eli swallowed hard, stepping into Gideon's chalk circle. His voice shook but carried. "Okay, fine. You want content? Let's give them a finale." The horseman leaned forward. The jack-o'-lantern flame roared higher. And the stream's viewer count climbed past 100,000. Chapter 11. Final cut. The forest burned silver under the moonlight. Every branch looked like a claw. Every shadow reached like a hand. And at the center of it all, Eli standing in Gideon's chalk circle, shaking like a loose tripod. The Headless Horseman loomed over him, livestream camera still locked steady in that bony gauntlet. His horse's breath smoked in the night air. The jack-o'-lantern blazed like a personal spotlight. Chat messages kept exploding across Eli's phone. User 666. Is this scripted? Pumpkin Spice 98. Realest AI ever. Grim Talk fan. I want that pumpkin as merch. Mom's username. Is he wearing clean underwear? Eli muttered through clenched teeth. Great. I'm gonna die to emojis. The horseman raised the jack-o'-lantern higher, fire spitting sparks into the branches above. Kat crouched just outside the circle, laptop open, her fingers hammering at the keyboard. Okay, if he's streaming through your channel, I can hijack the signal. Maybe crash it. Define maybe, Eli whispered. Like, 80% maybe. 70? Okay, 60. That's not math, that's vibes. The horseman let out a low, guttural roar. Headless but somehow deafening, and spurred his horse in a sudden charge. Eli yelped, dove sideways, and the flaming pumpkin whizzed past, searing the air. It landed on the dirt with a hiss, still burning. The livestream camera never shook. The audience never blinked. 200,000 watching now. Gideon shouted something in German, voice raw with force. The chalk circle lit faintly, roots glowing like embers. The horseman's horse skidded at its edge, rearing back, furious. Eli scrambled up, hair smoking where the fire nearly kissed him. Gideon, whatever that was, more of that, please. The horseman hurled the pumpkin again, this time striking the edge of the circle. The chalk cracked, lines burning out. The protective glow faltered. Less of that, Eli squeaked. Kat shouted, Eli, stall him. What do you mean stall him? He's not exactly a good listener. Just do your YouTube thing. Talk at him. Eli turned back to the towering, headless ghost. His voice wobbled. Hey, guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're getting absolutely destroyed by colonial cosplay gone wrong. The horseman roared again, raising his sword this time. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Eli shrieked. Chat exploded. Pumpkin Spice 98. LMAO. User 666. This guy's insane. Grim Talk fan. I subbed. +5 skull emojis. Cat's laptop screen blinked. Signal breach. 35%. 50%. Gideon's voice boomed over the chaos. He is tethered by story. Keep the audience with you. Don't let him own it. Eli's eyes widened. He got it. The horseman wasn't just here to kill him. He wanted to steal the narrative. To make Eli the final punchline in his eternal ghost vlog. Oh, no way, Skeletor. This is my channel. The horseman slashed with the blade, sparks raining as Eli stumbled back into the broken circle. The livestream lagged for a second, glitched, before snapping sharp again. Signal breach. 70%. 85%. Cat shouted, almost there. Eli squared his shoulders, heart pounding like it was trying to unsubscribe from his ribcage. He faced the horseman, trembling but standing tall. You think you're the star of this story? Nah, you're just clickbait, the monster we used to get people in the door. But the channel, the story, it's mine. And tonight, I'm demonetizing you. The horseman raised his sword for the killing blow and Cat slammed the enter key. The livestream shattered. Pixels tore across the night like shards of glass. The phone in the horseman's grip cracked, screen imploding in a burst of static. The jack-o'-lantern fire dimmed, sputtered. The horseman reeled in the saddle, headless roar fading into a distorted, glitchy echo. Then, like smoke in the wind, he vanished. Silence. Only Eli's ragged breathing and Cat's laptop fans whirring in victory. On the phone in Eli's hand, the channel screen went blank. Then a new notification blinked into existence. Congratulations. Stream ended. New subscribers, 317,492. Eli's jaw dropped. I just went viral for not dying. Cat, still shaking, laughed weakly. First time for everything. Gideon exhaled, lowering his arms. The horseman is banished for now. His story disrupted. His ride unfinished. Eli slumped against a tree. Cool. Cool. But does YouTube send a plaque for this, or a restraining order? Chapter 12. Viral Afterlife. Eli woke to the sound of his phone buzzing like an angry wasp nest. His eyelids peeled open reluctantly, his brain still half drowned in exhaustion. For a split second, he wondered if last night had just been a nightmare fueled by bad gas station burritos. Then he saw the blackened scorch mark in the corner of the cabin floor where the horseman's pumpkin had landed. Nope, not a burrito. Definitely decapitation adjacent reality. The buzzing persisted. He groaned, reaching for his phone on the nightstand. Notifications blurred together like a waterfall. Plus 1,000 subscribers. New comment. Bro for real fought the Headless Horseman and won. Spooky Snacks TV tagged you. Collab, with 8 question marks. Hashtag Eli vs Horseman trending number 3 worldwide. Eli sat bolt upright, his hair sticking out like it had fought its own ghost battle. Oh no, I'm famous. From the kitchen, Kat's voice floated in, dry as black coffee. You say that like it's a curse. It is a curse. Eli stumbled out of bed, holding up the phone. Look at this. I gained 500,000 subscribers overnight. Do you know what that means? Kat looked up from her laptop at the table, dark circles under her eyes but a triumphant little smirk tugging at her lips. That you're finally paying for the coffee? It means. Eli jabbed his finger at the screen. My next video has to be even crazier. I can't just follow up a literal horseman with a top 5 haunted Arby's bathrooms video. Kat shrugged. Depends. Do the bathrooms throw flaming pumpkins? Before Eli could fire back, a voice rasped from the corner. Gideon sat in the armchair like a shadow carved out of the morning light, hands folded, watching them both with that unreadable, Storm v. Clout expression. You have tangled yourself in his story, Gideon said. The world watched. The tale spreads. And tales do not die. They adapt. Eli froze. Adapt? Like Windows updates adapt? Or like dinosaurs adapt? Like both, Gideon said without blinking. Kat's smirk evaporated. You're saying he's not gone? Gideon inclined his head. For centuries, the horseman fed on whispers, on campfire stories. Last night, you fed him millions of eyes. Millions of voices. His legend has never been stronger. Eli's phone buzzed again. Another tag. Another meme of him screaming, "Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe," while dodging a flaming pumpkin. He buried his face in his hands. I turned him into a meme. I'm literally haunted by content. Kat snapped her laptop shut. Then we figure out how to unhaunt you. Before he trends again, Eli peeked through his fingers. Can you even cancel a ghost? You cancel cable, Kat said. Close enough. Chapter 13. Escalation. By noon, Eli's cabin had transformed into a chaotic blend of haunted house and startup office. Empty coffee cups littered the table. Kat's laptop was surrounded by crumpled notes, USB drives, and a truly alarming number of half-eaten granola bars. Gideon sat by the fireplace like a living gargoyle, muttering in German every time Eli's phone dinged. Which was constantly. 2 million views in 12 hours, Eli muttered, scrolling with a twitchy thumb. His voice held that same mixture of awe and panic a lottery winner might feel realizing they still have student loans. I've got sponsorship offers, collab requests, interview requests. Oh my god, BuzzFeed just made a quiz. Which pumpkin from Eli's livestream are you? Kat looked up, deadpan. And? I got smoldering rage pumpkin. Accurate. The phone buzzed again. Eli opened it and immediately went pale. Guys? Tell me this is a deep fake. On screen was a short TikTok clip. A blurry night vision shot of a suburban street. A figure on horseback rode past, headless, carrying a glowing jack-o'-lantern. The clip ended with the horse vanishing into the dark. It already had 300,000 likes. Kat snatched the phone. Her face tightened. That's not deepfake. That's... Gideon finished for her. The legend feeding. He has tasted the spotlight. Now he will multiply. Eli's eyes bugged. Multiply? Like, there's gonna be a Horseman franchise? What, are we talking spin-offs? Horseman, Miami? The Fast and the Headless? Not copies, Gideon said, voice low. But echoes. Fragments. Each telling will shape him anew. Kat was already typing furiously on her laptop. Okay, here's what's happening. The algorithm loves him. People are uploading clips, editing memes, stitching your stream. He's bleeding into digital folklore now. This isn't just local anymore, Eli. He's global. As if on cue, another notification pinged. Someone had auto-tuned the horseman's roar into a dance remix. Eli stared. I've unleashed a ghost influencer. Kat leaned back, rubbing her temples. At this rate, he doesn't even need to hunt you. The internet's doing his work for him. Gideon's eyes flashed. But you remain the key. He rides for you still. Because you are the storyteller who dared to defy him. Eli dropped his head onto the table with a thunk. Great. I'm Ghost Bait Prime. Kat sighed. Okay, if he's living in the algorithm now, then maybe we fight him there. Eli lifted his head just enough to glare. What, like an exorcism by TikTok? Kat smirked. If it works, we call it a trend. Chapter 14. The Horseman goes viral. By the next morning, the Horseman wasn't just a legend. He was content. Eli scrolled his feed with the hollow look of a man watching his own funeral in HD. Every app, every platform, there he was. A clip of the Horseman galloping past a Walmart parking lot had been set to the Benny Hill theme and already had 10 million views. Another edit dropped flaming pumpkins into clips of The Bachelor. Someone in California claimed the horseman stole their Uber Eats order. Kat, hunched over her laptop, looked like she hadn't blinked in an hour. It's everywhere. Asia, Europe, South America. He's showing up in videos from places he's never been. Or maybe he is there. Gideon? The old man didn't look up from where he sat sharpening a silvered axe. His voice rumbled like distant thunder. Stories move faster than horses. Faster than fire. The horseman now rides on signal and screen. He rides where he is seen. Eli groaned, tossing his phone onto the couch. So he's basically Wi-Fi enabled. Kat shot him a look. Eli, focus. No, seriously. Eli held up his hands. First he's local, then he's trending, now he's everywhere at once. He's like a ghost VPN. How do you fight that? Kat's reply was cut off by Eli's ringtone blasting through the cabin. He groaned again when he saw the caller ID Good Morning America. Don't answer it, Kat warned. But, national TV, Eli whispered, staring at the phone like it was the One Ring. Don't, Kat said again. Eli huffed and slouched in his chair. Chapter 15, The Clout Chasers. By the time they got back to Sleepy Hollow, the town looked like Times Square had exploded in a pumpkin patch. Ring lights glowed on every corner. Drones buzzed overhead like angry wasps. Influencers with selfie sticks and matching merch shouted into their phones. Day 3 of trying to summon the Headless Horseman. Smash that like button if you want me to survive. Kat groaned. It's worse than I thought. They're not scared. They're competing for views. Eli winced as a YouTuber dressed as a sexy jack-o'-lantern sprinted past, shouting, Horseman Collab Challenge, let's go. Behind her, a group of teens in LED masks did the TikTok shuffle in front of a tree. Gideon spat into the dirt. Fools. They do not see he is death. They see a brand deal, Kat muttered. Eli's phone buzzed again. He glanced at it, face going slack. Oh my god, he's trending on Cameo. Kat snatched the phone. Sure enough, someone had created an account for The Real Headless Horseman. The profile promised flaming pumpkin shout-outs for $300 each. The reviews were glowing. Best birthday ever. He set my ex's name on fire. 5 stars. Kat read aloud, then tossed the phone back like it burned. We're doomed. Suddenly, a roar of hooves echoed down Main Street. The crowd erupted in cheers. Phones shot up. He's here. He's here. The horseman charged through the mob, axe swinging. The influencers didn't run, they followed. A tide of ring lights and live streaming gimbals chased him like paparazzi hunting Bigfoot. Eli pressed himself against a lamppost, heart-pounding. Oh my god, he's a viral challenge. They're not even scared. They think he's like Momo, but with better production values. Kat grabbed his arm. We have to shut this down before someone dies. Someone already died, Eli hissed. Yeah, Kat snapped, but now it's gonna be monetized. Later that night, they regrouped at the cabin. Kat's laptop glowed in the dim light, casting her face in blue. Charts and analytics crawled across the screen like digital spiders. She pointed at a graph. See this spike? Every time the horseman appears, the algorithm boosts him higher. More engagement, more visibility. The more people record him, the stronger he gets. Eli slumped on the couch. So he's basically clickbait on horseback. Exactly, Gideon grunted. Then break the cycle. Stop the story. Kat shook her head. It's too big now. We can't delete him. But maybe we can trick him. Starve him of the engagement he feeds on. Eli perked up. Like a digital exorcism? Yeah, Kat said slowly, eyes narrowing. But bigger. We'd need to tank his clout in one massive move. Make him so uncool, so embarrassing that no one shares him anymore. Eli blinked. So cancel the Headless Horseman? The room fell silent. Finally Kat smirked. Exactly. Gideon muttered something that sounded very much like, I hate this century. Chapter 16. Canceling the Horseman. The cabin looked like a war room, if war rooms came with half-eaten pizza boxes and a whiteboard labeled, How to Cancel a Supernatural Legend. Kat paced with a marker, scribbling ideas furiously. Okay, option 1, discredit him. Flood the internet with fake clips so no one knows which ones are real. Eli perked up. Deep fakes. We could have the horseman, I dunno, juggling rubber chickens? Or singing karaoke? Kat gave him a look. That's dumb. Eli crossed his arms. So dumb it just might work. Gideon, polishing his axe, rumbled from the corner. Your cancellation, this is sorcery of the mind? It's marketing, Kat said. Ah, Gideon spat into the fireplace. Dark magic. They brainstormed late into the night. Idea number 2 was meme him into oblivion. Kat, if we can make him ridiculous, people stop fearing him. Eli, right, like Photoshop him into Shrek's swamp. Or make him a minion. Nobody fears minions. Gideon, I fear minions. Idea number 3 was spread embarrassing rumors. Eli, what if we leak that he lost his head in a bar fight with the Pillsbury Doughboy? Kat, or that he still lives with his mom. Gideon, his mother was a witch queen of shadows. She devoured kings. Kat, cool, then we tweet that. Very relatable. Idea number 4 was rebrand him. Eli, turn him into a mascot for something really uncool. Like tax software. Kat, or adult diapers. Gideon, or the redcoats. Eli, okay, grandpa, too niche. By 2 a.m., the whiteboard was a fever dream of hashtags. Hashtag horseman fail. Hashtag pumpkin spice loser. Hashtag axe to grind but no head and hashtag cancelled horseman. Kat capped the marker and dropped onto the couch beside Eli. This is insane. Eli stared at the board. Yeah, but it's also the only shot we've got. Silence filled the room. The only sound was Gideon whetstoning his axe, each scrape like the tick of a doomsday clock. Finally, Eli said, you know what the problem is. Kat raised an eyebrow. What? Eli swallowed. We're trying to cancel a ghost, but ghosts don't care about Twitter. Kat leaned back, rubbing her temples. No, but people do, and he exists through them. She looked at him with tired determination. If we can flip the story, make the world laugh at him instead of fear him, we might cut him off at the source. Eli nodded slowly. Okay, so meme war with the undead. Gideon sighed like a man being forced to watch teenagers reinvent alchemy with TikTok filters. God help us all, he muttered. Chapter 17. Meme War with the Dead. The next morning, Eli sat at the kitchen table with 3 energy drinks, a bag of stale Cheetos, and the wild-eyed focus of a man about to battle a centuries-old curse using Photoshop. Kat's laptop had tabs upon tabs glowing on the screen. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Reddit, Discord. The battlefield. Operation hashtag cancelled horseman begins now, Kat announced. Eli cracked his knuckles. Let's ruin a legend. Phase 1. Meme drop. Kat uploaded the first volley. A clip of the horseman riding through town, but looped, reversed, and set to yakety sax. Within minutes, it had 40,000 views and the top comment was bro looks like he's late for the Spirit Halloween clearance sale. Eli nearly spit his Cheetos. Oh my god, it's working. Next came stills of the horseman photoshopped into embarrassing situations. At Starbucks, ordering a pumpkin spice latte with no head. On Tinder, profile bio reading looking for a girl who won't ghost me, because I literally am one. Holding a Blockbuster membership card. Kat grinned as the likes piled up. He's trending under comedy. This is beautiful. Gideon, however, stared at the screen in horror. You toy with forces you do not understand. This mockery will only enrage him further. Good, Kat said. Angry doesn't trend. Cringe does. Phase 2. The live stream. Eli set up his ring light, microphone, and green screen. Alright, internet, tonight we go live with the world's first ghost roast. The chat exploded instantly. Moms love 69. Is this real or no? Big axe energy. Headless daddy where you at? Cryptid Stan 420. OMG collab with Mothman when? Eli leaned toward the mic. We're here to prove that the horseman isn't scary, he's cancelled. So get your jokes ready. Hashtag pumpkin spice loser. The roast began. Tweets rolled in. TikToks stitched his stream. Someone deepfaked the horseman into doing Fortnite dances. Another video made him the new face of a hemorrhoid cream ad. Kat whispered, it's working. Look at the numbers. Fear engagement is dropping. Laugh engagement is skyrocketing. Eli grinned into the camera. Sorry, buddy, you're not trending in horror anymore. You're trending in fail compilations. And that's when the lights flickered. The screen behind him warped, glitching like a corrupted file. The livestream chat went insane. Wait, what was that? OMG, rewind at 3211. Is he in the stream right now? Suddenly, a shadowy figure appeared on the green screen feed, not Eli, not Cat. Riding through static with burning eyes and a jack-o'-lantern grin. The horseman had entered the chat. Every phone in town buzzed at once. Notifications stacked like falling dominoes. The horseman was going live. Gideon rose to his feet, axe in hand. Your jest has summoned him. Eli froze, staring at his monitor. The horseman's pumpkin turned toward the camera, fire licking from its jagged grin. And in the livestream chat, a single new username appeared. The Real Horseman. Your jokes end now. The audience went wild. Moms Love 69. LMAO, is this scripted? Ghosty Boy 22. This is the best collab of 2025. Cryptid Stan 420. Headless Daddy saw the memes. Cat's voice shook. Eli, end the stream. Now. But Eli's hands hovered useless over the keyboard. Because for the first time since this all began, he wasn't sure if they were the ones playing the game, or if the horseman was. Chapter 18. Live stream from the other side. Eli's screen filled with static. The horseman's jack-o'-lantern face flickered in and out like a cursed emoji. The livestream chat exploded. OMG, WTF is this? Yo, this looks too real. Haunted collab, let's go. Eli's heart slammed against his ribs. Okay, that's not me. Cat lunged forward, yanking cables from the setup. Kill the stream. But every monitor in the room lit up with the same image. A black horse's hooves pounding through static, coming closer, closer. Like he was galloping down the digital highway itself. Too late, Gideon growled, axe in hand. The screen is now his mirror. You've made him viral. Phones buzzed in unison across Sleepy Hollow. Viewers were screen recording, clipping, stitching, duetting. The horseman wasn't just seen, he was shared. Every time a new meme popped up, his image grew sharper. More defined, less pixel, more flesh. Cat's face drained of color. Oh my god, they're feeding him. Then the green screen behind Eli tore open, not like fabric, but like reality itself unzipping. Smoke rolled through. A hoof struck the cabin floor with a boom that rattled the walls. The chat went absolutely feral. Dude, did he just come out in real life? Best CGI ever. Horseman spawn reveal LMAO. The horseman emerged, full height, axe gleaming. The livestream viewers could see everything. And instead of running, they spammed laughing emojis and clown gifs. Stop laughing at him, Gideon bellowed. This is no jest. But the internet didn't stop. In fact, someone auto-tuned the horseman's entrance scream into a dubstep beat and it went viral in real time. Eli backed into the camera. Okay, hey guys. Just so we're clear, this isn't a bit. This is real. He will actually kill us. The chat. LOL. He's committed to the bit. Laugh emoji. Wow, acting deserves an Emmy. Cat whispered, they think it's content. They don't believe us. And that's when the horseman turned his pumpkin head toward the lens. Toward millions of watching eyes. He raised his axe. And the chat filled with one phrase, over and over, spreading faster than wildfire. Hashtag Horseman Challenge. Chapter 19. The Horseman Challenge. The hashtag spread like wildfire. Within an hour, TikTok was clogged with shaky iPhone videos of kids in their basements, parking lots, bathrooms, anywhere with bad lighting, chanting dumb summoning rituals into their front-facing cameras. A boy in Texas duct taped a watermelon to his shoulders and ran in circles while his friends yelled, "He's here! He's here!" The comments? LMAO. New cryptid just dropped. Okay, but he's low-key hot though. Eli and Cat scrolled in horror. Clip after clip. Meme after meme. The horseman wasn't just haunting Sleepy Hollow anymore, he was trending in every time zone. Do you realize what this means? Cat whispered. He's not bound here anymore. He's viral. He can manifest anywhere someone invokes him. Eli dragged his hands down his face. We didn't just fight a ghost. We created a brand deal waiting to happen. Meanwhile, the chat on their own stream hadn't stopped. When's the Horseman merch drop? I would 100% subscribe to his OnlyFans. The Horseman, towering, axe gleaming, just stood behind Eli, fire licking out of his jack-o'-lantern grin. And instead of striking, he paused. He turned slightly toward the camera, tilting his head like a cat hearing a weird sound. Cat narrowed her eyes. He likes the attention. Eli groaned. Oh, no, he's an influencer. In a mansion in Los Angeles, a group of shirtless TikTok boys were live streaming in front of a giant LED ring light. Yo, what's up fam, welcome back. We're doing the #Horseman challenge at 3 a.m. Don't forget to smash that like button. They doused the floor in fake fog, queued up spooky sound effects, and chanted his name. And to their shock, the shadows in the corner moved. The Horseman stepped out, axe raised. Half the viewers screamed, half spammed laughing emojis. One of the boys fainted into a beanbag chair. The other yelled, "Oh my god, he's real." Guys were trending. The Horseman brought his axe down, right through their ring light. Sparks flew and the stream went black. Within minutes, #Horseman challenge hit #1 worldwide. Back in Sleepy Hollow, Eli stared at the endless feeds. We can't stop him anymore. He's got followers. He's got engagement. He's basically a lifestyle brand. Kat chewed her lip. Then we don't fight him. We cancel him harder. Eli blinked. What? We make him problematic, Kat said. Expose him. He can't survive if the internet turns on him. Eli looked at the Horseman, who was still staring into the webcam while holding his axe up like he was going to smash it down on their head. Kat, Eli said slowly, are you suggesting we give the Headless Horseman a scandal? Kat grinned wickedly. Exactly. The Horseman tilted his pumpkin, as if he knew. And for the first time, Eli swore he saw him smile. Chapter 20. Scandal in the Shadows. Kat hammered the keyboard like she was hacking into the Pentagon. Okay, if the Horseman thrives on hype, we kill the hype. We ruin his brand. Make him uncool. Eli peeked at the looming figure in the corner. The Horseman stood unnervingly still, cape hanging like a funeral curtain. Smoke seeped from the cracks of his jack-o'-lantern face, curling up the walls like phantom vines. His axe tip barely touching the ceiling, looming over them. Kat was undeterred. Step 1, fake receipts. Step 2, problematic tweets. Step 3, leaked footage. Eli blinked. Leaked what footage? He doesn't even have a head. Exactly, Kat snapped. Mystery sells. They got to work. Kat used Photoshop to slap the Horseman into a decade-old photo next to a notorious reality star. Eli drafted fake tweets. Bout to chop heads LOL #brand deals. Pineapple does go on pizza #unpopular opinion. Then they sent the plan to a ghostly gossip channel, Spectre T, run by Gideon's friend in the ether. Within minutes, spectral whispers turned into glitchy TikToks and cursed Twitter threads. The internet devoured it. The Horseman is cancelled for cultural appropriation of pumpkin spice. He chopped how many heads in 1776? But the comments twisted in an unsettling way. The posts glitched. Hashtags smeared into static, letters warping. And behind some memes, faint sounds leaked through. Screams. Galloping hooves. Cat? Eli leaned closer to her laptop. One of the viral edits, supposedly a fan of the Horseman, wasn't quite right. The shadows in the background moved. The screaming audio wasn't stock, it was new. Cat froze. Those are real. They clicked another video. A girl in her bedroom, filming a Horseman parody. Mid-dance, her lights flickered. The frame jittered, skipping frames like corrupted film. For half a second, she wasn't alone, he was standing behind her. The video cut. Upload ended. Her comment section turned into spammed emojis of pumpkins and axes. The girl never posted again. Eli slammed the laptop shut. Oh my god. Cat. We're not canceling him. We're recruiting for him. They both turned toward the corner. The Horseman hadn't moved, but the room was colder. The shadows deeper. He was listening, feeding. Kat's bravado cracked. He doesn't care if he's problematic. The more people talk about him, the more real he gets. The Horseman tilted his pumpkin slowly toward them. The grin seemed wider now, jagged flames licking at the edges. Outside, the sound of hooves echoed through the woods. Not one set, many. And somewhere, phones buzzed in pockets, lighting up with new notifications. You've been tagged in the #Horseman challenge. Chapter 21. The Town That Scrolled Too Far. Eli and Kat burst out of the cabin, gasping like they'd just escaped a collapsing mine. The night air hit cold and sharp, but something was wrong, too quiet. No bugs, no wind, just the hollow, bone-deep echo of hooves somewhere in the distance. Kat clutched her phone. Okay, rule number 1, we don't look at TikTok. We don't check Twitter. We don't even think about pumpkin emojis. Eli snorted nervously. So basically, we go Amish. But the joke died as soon as they rounded the corner. The town of Sleepy Hollow wasn't asleep. Every house they passed glowed pale blue with screens. Living rooms, bedrooms, even porches, people were hunched over their phones, slack-faced, scrolling. Kids, parents, everyone. Their eyes reflected the same thing, a looping video of the horseman. And as Eli and Kat crept closer, they realized the videos weren't the same for everyone. One man's phone showed the horseman galloping down his own street. A teenager's screen showed him at her window. Another showed the horseman standing right behind her. Kat whispered, "It's personalized content." Eli swallowed hard, like an algorithm from hell. They hurried through the square, trying not to look at the eerie audience of glowing faces. A group shuffled out from the church. Their heads bowed, faces lit by screens they held up like sacred relics. The same hashtag glowed on every display. #Horseman Challenge. Kat's hand tightened around Eli's. We need to get out of here. Now. They cut through the alleys, but even there the infection spread. Graffiti tags of pumpkins with flaming eyes crawled across the walls, shifting when they looked too long. Eli's phone buzzed in his pocket. Against all reason, he pulled it out. The screen showed him and Kat. A live feed, except no one was holding a camera. Behind them, in the video, shadows moved. Kat slapped the phone out of his hand. Stop feeding it. The device shattered on the pavement. From the fragments, a faint whinny echoed. They froze. From the far end of the alley, a figure emerged. Cloaked in black, axe dragging against the ground, sparks flying. His pumpkin grin lit up the bricks, one jagged crack glowing brighter with each step. Eli's stomach dropped. He's not just in the screens anymore. Kat grabbed his arm. Run. Chapter 22. Shelves of Shadows. The library doors loomed like a sanctuary. Solid oak. Brass handles that caught the moonlight. Kat nearly cried with relief. Books, she gasped. No internet in books. Eli half laughed, half choked as he shoved the doors open. If we survive this because of the Dewey Decimal System, I'm writing a fan letter to a librarian. The inside was pitch dark. Their footsteps echoed unnaturally, too loud, as if the library were hollowed out. Kat flicked on her phone flashlight, against her own rule, but they needed it. Rows of books stretched out like solemn soldiers. Dust motes spun in the beam of light. The air smelled faintly of mold, paper, and something sharper, burnt pumpkin. Tell me that's just a scented candle, Eli whispered. Kat didn't answer. They crept deeper. At first, it was just quiet. Then they noticed the books. Whole shelves had been emptied, the volumes torn out and stacked on the floor like barricades. On some covers, pumpkin symbols had been scribbled in Sharpie, carved into leather, or, worse, burned straight through the paper. They reached the center of the library, and Kat's flashlight caught something that made her stomach flip. The study tables were arranged into a circle. In the middle, an old projector hummed, running by itself. The reel spun, clicking steadily, throwing flickering light against a blank wall. On the wall, a silent film played. Grainy, black and white. The horseman. He rode through endless forests, his axe raised, his pumpkin glowing with eerie light. Every few seconds the film jumped forward, showing a new victim, villagers, soldiers, modern people in hoodies and sneakers. Their heads vanished into static before the axe even touched them. Eli stumbled back. Oh my God, he's got a highlight reel. Kat shushed him, but she couldn't stop staring. The longer she looked, the more she swore the film wasn't pre-recorded. It was live. And the victims on screen, some of them looked like people she recognized from town. Her stomach lurched. Suddenly, the projector snapped off. The silence pressed in. From between the bookshelves, whispering rose. Not human. A chorus of low, distorted voices, like overlapping YouTube tutorials sped up and reversed. Then the books themselves began to twitch. Pages riffled, covers slammed shut, whole volumes thudded to the ground. And in the shadows between the shelves, silhouettes shifted. Headless, cloaked, carrying phantom axes. Cat, Eli hissed, grabbing her sleeve, we should not be here. The whispers grew louder, rising to a hiss that vibrated the floorboards. Cat turned the flashlight toward the back of the room and nearly dropped it. There, in the library's grand fireplace, sat a single pumpkin. Perfectly round, perfectly carved, its grin stretched wider than any real knife could cut. The inside glowed faintly, then brighter, then with a sudden roar, the flames inside shot high, licking the chimney. And above the crackling fire, in smoke and flame, the horseman's silhouette stepped forward. His axe gleamed, his jack-o'-lantern tilted, locking onto them with a fiery leer. Eli backed up until he hit a shelf. Books rained down on him. Yeah, okay, libraries cursed. I vote we convert to audiobooks. Cat grabbed his arm, yanking him toward the exit as the whispers crescendoed into a single, deafening scream. The last thing she saw before the doors slammed shut behind them was the horseman stepping out of the fire. Outside, Eli grabbed Cat's hand. We can't outrun this forever. We need to end it. Cat nodded, panic in her eyes but steel in her voice. Every curse has a root. The horseman's not just a ghost, he's a story. And stories only live if people tell them. Eli blinked. So what, you want to unsubscribe him to death? Cat's voice sharpened. Think. He's feeding on attention, on views, on everyone watching, chanting, scrolling. If we can break the broadcast, cut him off from his audience, maybe he loses power. Eli's voice cracked. And how exactly do we cut off an algorithmic demon with a murder fetish? Cat met his eyes. We find the source. The first upload. The original seed video. We delete that. Cat's grip tightened as she looked around the town. And we do it fast. Chapter 23. Tracing the seed. Back in his cabin, Eli's fingers hovered over the laptop keyboard, trembling. The room smelled like burnt pumpkin and old paper. Every notification ping made him jump. Cat crouched beside him, peering at the screen. If we can find the first upload, the seed video, then maybe we can delete it. That's the root of his power. Eli swallowed. And let me guess, the first upload is buried somewhere in the internet's deepest corners, like the catacombs of Reddit and cursed Facebook pages? Cat gave him a hard look. Exactly. And every second we wait, he spreads. Every share, every live stream, every meme, he gets stronger. From somewhere in the dark, a slow, rhythmic thump echoed. Hooves. Not on wood, not on stone, on every surface. The sound grew closer, circling the cabin. Eli froze. That's him, right? Cat didn't answer. She was too focused. A series of old forum posts, back alley YouTube uploads, and obscure TikTok videos scrolled across her screen. The horseman's image flickered in each one, like a digital ghost trying to push through the pixels. The room temperature dropped sharply. Their breath puffed in clouds. The laptop screen flickered. Static licked at the edges, distorting the original uploads into grotesque, grinning faces of the horsemen. Cat whispered, he knows we're here. Suddenly, the cabin walls seemed to stretch. Shadows pooled in corners, forming into the shape of a horse, larger than any normal horse should be. Delete it, Eli shouted, but his fingers moved too slow. The floorboard groaned beneath them. Books flew off shelves as if propelled by unseen hands. The horseman stepped closer, the axe dragging sparks across the floor. His pumpkin grin split wider, impossibly wide, stretching almost to the ceiling. Cat's eyes narrowed. Eli, focus. The upload, the earliest timestamp. He frantically scrolled, video after video, looping through fire and static, until finally he saw it, a crude clip from decades ago, shaky, barely more than a few frames of static and a shadow on horseback. There, he shouted. He clicked. A warning popped up. This video is protected. Attempting deletion may trigger unexpected activity. Do it anyway. Kat screamed. Eli hesitated. The shadows behind the horseman stretched across the cabin, crawling up the walls. Static filled the air like a swarm of insects. Hooves pounded faster, closer, each one shaking the floor. He pressed delete. The laptop flickered violently. A shrill, piercing whinny filled the room. The horseman's pumpkin head blazed so bright it was almost painful to look at. The axe swung, but hit nothing. Then, silence. The static cleared. The shadows evaporated. The cabin was empty. No hooves. No whispers. The fire had died in the fireplace. Kat sank to the floor, trembling. Did we? Eli's voice was hoarse. We might have. The laptop screen, once filled with uploads, was now blank. No trace of the earliest video. No horseman. Not even a flicker. For the first time in weeks, the night was quiet. But as Eli exhaled in relief, he noticed something in the corner of the room, a single jack-o'-lantern seed, glowing faintly, unbroken, unburned, waiting. Kat's voice was tight. Don't trust it. Not yet. Eli swallowed. Somewhere deep in the shadows of the internet, or maybe reality itself, the horseman's curse might still linger. And even if they'd won this battle, the war was far from over. Chapter 24. The seed stirs. The jack-o'-lantern seed sat in the dust like a dropped ember, faintly pulsing. Kat stared at it as if it might sprout legs. That thing shouldn't still be here. Eli tried to laugh, but his voice cracked. Yeah, well, ghosts shouldn't have TikToks either, but here we are. The seed throbbed once more, brighter, then dimmed. A low sound, like a heartbeat, or maybe a hoofbeat, rippled through the floorboards. Kat crouched, her hands balled into fists. We deleted the video. That should have been the route. Unless, she trailed off, eyes narrowing. Unless what? Unless the curse isn't tied to the video itself, but the act of sharing. Every retweet, every repost, every bootleg copy, it's like a splinter. Cut down the tree, and the roots are still everywhere. Eli's stomach sank. You're saying he's backed up? Like, the world's scariest Google Drive? Before Kat could answer, the cabin lights flickered. Not just the bulb overhead, every device. The dead laptop powered on by itself, glowing white. Their phones buzzed with notifications they hadn't received. Even the old radio on the shelf hissed with static. Then came the sound. Not hooves this time. Typing. Dozens of keyboards clacking in unison, like an invisible newsroom pounding out headlines. Kat's voice dropped to a whisper. He's migrating. The seed on the floor cracked. A thin vine shot out, curling toward the laptop. Eli lunged, stomping down with his shoe. The vine writhed, curling around his ankle. He yelped and kicked free. The seed split again, firelight glowing inside. Kat grabbed a nearby Bible and slammed it down on the seed. The fire snuffed out with a hiss, but the heartbeat sound only grew louder. Eli stumbled back, chest heaving. Okay, so if deleting isn't enough, what is? Kat's eyes burned with determination. We don't just delete the curse. We overwrite it. We tell a different story. If his power is in being remembered, in being feared, then maybe we end him by burying him under a new narrative. One nobody will spread. The heartbeat sound grew into a full gallop. The cabin walls shook as if hooves were pounding from every direction at once. Shadows burst from the corners, swirling. And then, through the static, a voice, low, metallic, distorted, slipped from every speaker at once. You can delete a file, but you can't delete a legend. The cabin door blew open. Outside, the woods blazed with hundreds of jack-o'-lanterns, glowing in unison, their carved mouths chanting silently. The horseman was coming back. And this time, he wasn't waiting to be summoned. Chapter 25. Rewriting the legend. The cabin windows rattled like something outside was breathing against the glass. The jack-o'-lanterns in the woods pulsed brighter, their carved grins like rows of orange teeth. Eli paced, hands tangled in his hair. Okay, let me get this straight. You're saying we fight a centuries-old monster with storytelling? Kat was furiously scribbling in her notebook, ink smearing under her hand. Yes. Think about it. He thrives on the same thing every viral legend does. Fear, mystery, the thrill of the retelling. If we spin it differently, give him a story that ends, then we choke his fuel source. We trap him in a narrative nobody wants to spread. Eli threw up his arms. So basically, we're making a really boring creepypasta? Kat shot him a sharp look. No, we're writing closure. Legends don't survive when they have endings. That's why urban myths always trail off, because it keeps people whispering. But if we give him a definitive finale, he can't breathe anymore. Eli stopped pacing. Wait, so we're ghostwriters for the afterlife? Before Kat could answer, the lights surged. The laptop on the table blinked awake, the screen showing a live feed of the woods outside. Shadows swirled, and then the horseman appeared in the frame, riding slowly between the glowing pumpkins. His axe gleamed like molten steel. Eli's jaw dropped. Okay, I did not give him permission to stream into my laptop. This is a violation of at least 3 privacy policies. The feed flickered. For a split second, the horseman looked straight into the camera. Then, across the screen in jagged letters, words etched themselves. Tell my story or lose yours. The speakers hissed with ghostly static, followed by the sound of galloping hooves, closer and closer, until it felt like the horse was inside the cabin walls. Kat snapped the notebook shut. Her face was pale, but her eyes blazed with determination. Fine, we'll tell your story, but we're going to end it. She grabbed her recorder and shoved it into Eli's hands. You're the YouTuber. You've got the platform. You record this, right now, and we put it out there. A story that shuts him down. Eli gaped. Kat, do you hear yourself? I'm not Stephen King, I'm a guy whose most popular video is me mispronouncing Worcestershire sauce for 10 minutes. Kat jabbed a finger into his chest. Then use it. You've got followers who believe you. If you tell them the horseman's done, they'll believe it too. That's how legends live or die. The ground shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. The horseman's shadow pressed against the cabin window, massive and looming, the pumpkin head grinning wider than ever. Eli swallowed hard. All right, okay, time to rewrite a legend. He set up his camera, fingers trembling as he hit record. Hey, guys, he said, voice cracking, Eli here, and this might be the weirdest upload of my life. Because tonight, I'm not just telling you about the Headless Horseman, I'm ending him. Kat lit a single candle, setting it in front of the camera like a ritual. The flame flickered violently as the walls groaned. The horseman's presence pressed heavier, as if the air itself was watching. Eli's voice steadied as he spoke into the lens. The story of the horseman isn't unfinished. It isn't eternal. It ends here. He was a soldier who lost his head, and tonight, he finds rest. No more riding, no more haunting. His curse is over. The shadows around the cabin shrieked, twisting violently. The jack-o'-lanterns outside cracked down the middle, smoke pouring from their mouths. Eli's voice rose, stronger now, fueled by adrenaline. And if you're watching this, don't share his name. Don't whisper his legend. Remember him as a soldier who wanted peace, not as a monster who spread fear. The Headless Horseman's ride is done. The laptop exploded in sparks. The windows blew inward. For one blinding moment, the horseman's figure filled the cabin, axe raised high, pumpkin head blazing like a supernova. And then darkness. The candle's flame steadied. The shadows were gone. The pumpkins outside had all gone out, smoke drifting silently into the night. Kat exhaled slowly. Did it work? Eli stared at the dead laptop, then at his camera, still recording. I guess we'll find out when we upload. But as he spoke, the recorder in his hand pulsed faintly. For just an instant, the reflection in its dark screen wasn't Eli's face. It was the horseman's. Chapter 26. The Last Ride. The upload bar on Eli's camera blinked at 98%, then froze. He jabbed at the buttons like a man swatting bees. Come on, don't glitch on me now. Kat hovered over his shoulder, biting her lip. Maybe it needs more time. But the cabin felt wrong. The silence wasn't peaceful, it was heavy, like the air itself was waiting for something to snap. Suddenly, the lights flickered back on, one by one, too bright and buzzing like angry wasps. The screen on the camera glowed, showing the progress bar again. Except now it wasn't numbers, it was a phrase, carved in jagged letters. You can't rewrite me. The sound of hooves thundered outside. Eli staggered back. Nope, 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 nope. I officially resign as ghost YouTuber. I'm going back to unboxing cereal. Kat grabbed his arm, her voice fierce. This is it. He knows we're close. That means it's working. We just need to push harder. The walls trembled. The jack-o'-lanterns outside reignited, not orange this time, but sickly green, flames crackling high, casting warped shadows across the woods. And then, the door splintered open. The horseman ducked through, filling the cabin with his sheer presence, towering and monstrous. His axe dragged against the floor, sending up sparks. His pumpkin head burned brighter than a furnace, eyes hollow and hungry. Eli yelped, grabbing the closest thing to defend himself with, a tripod. Kat didn't flinch. She pulled her notebook from her bag, pages fluttering like wings. We have to finish it. Right here, right now. Say it with me, Eli. The horseman raised his axe. Kat's voice rang out. The story ends tonight. Eli stumbled into place beside her, heart pounding so hard he thought it might crack ribs. His voice cracked, but he shouted anyway. The horseman rides no more. The cabin floor split beneath them, black smoke pouring upward as if the earth itself was screaming. The horseman swung, but the axe hit nothing. It froze mid-air, suspended like it had struck an invisible wall. His entire body jerked, caught in something unseen. The flames in his pumpkin head flickered wildly. Kat's words came faster now, desperate, chanting, "You are not eternal. You are not endless. Your story is finished." Eli raised his camera like a weapon, the red record light glowing. "And I'm broadcasting it to the whole damn world. Rest in peace, you headless creep." The horseman thrashed, a sound like 1,000 screams tearing through the air. His body convulsed, shattering into fragments of smoke, flame, and ash. For one last instant, his pumpkin head turned toward Eli, burning eyes boring into him, as though marking him, branding him. And then he was gone. The cabin fell silent. The jack-o'-lanterns outside guttered out, one by one, until only darkness remained. The camera beeped. The upload hit 100%. Kat slumped to the floor, her notebook falling from her hand. "We did it." Eli collapsed beside her, chest heaving. He glanced at the camera, then at her, half laughing, half crying. "So what do we title this? Almost got murdered by a ghost?" Kat smacked his arm weakly. "Not funny." Then, after a beat, she cracked a tired smile. "Okay, maybe a little funny." They sat in silence for a long moment, letting the cabin breathe with them. Finally, Eli looked at the upload notification on his screen. "Think people will believe it?" Kat leaned her head against the wall. "Doesn't matter if they do. What matters is the horseman doesn't ride anymore." But outside, in the far-off woods, a single pumpkin flickered faintly, then went out again. For now. Chapter 27. Upload complete. 10 months later, the video had racked up 4.3 million views. Eli scrolled through the comments, snickering at the mix of fake but funny, Oscar-worthy editing, bro, and what the actual hell did I just watch? Kat leaned over his shoulder with her coffee. So basically, the world thinks we're either geniuses or idiots. Eli grinned. Best of both worlds. You can't buy that kind of engagement. Kat smirked, sipping her coffee. Still can't believe the algorithm didn't bury us. Their new apartment was brighter than the cabin. No flickering lights, no ominous pumpkins. Just laundry on the couch and Eli's cat snoring in the chair she claimed in the corner. Almost boring. Almost safe. Eli clicked refresh on the page. A new comment had appeared at the top, pinned somehow though he hadn't pinned it. It read, "Legends never die. See you on the next ride." Eli's smile faded. "Kat?" Kat froze, her mug halfway to her lips. "Please tell me you pinned that." Eli shook his head slowly. The cat in the corner lifted its head, hissing at the darkened TV screen. On the blank display, faint for just a second, was the outline of a rider on horseback, headless, burning, and waiting. The screen flickered, then went black again. Kat set her mug down with a trembling hand. "Well, guess we're not done yet." Eli groaned, dragging his hands down his face. Great. So, season 2? Kat gave a nervous laugh. Better start brainstorming titles. The dog whined softly. Outside, far away, a single hoofbeat echoed. Don't lose your head, hit that like button before the horseman finds it first. And subscribe for more creepy tales, because legends don't rest, and neither do we.